To the family to be careful and deliberate on how they plan his celebration of life, because we're talking about a historic figure that really changed pop culture around the world. This is not something you do carelessly and spontaneously. We must also remember they are still grieving, and in their grief determined to uphold his legacy. We were glad last night that some of us were able to get Mr. Jackson to go out to the BET Awards so that he could at least see the love himself of people rather than just be at home and grieve. Michael would have wanted his family to continue his work, that the Jackson's family is going to continue doing what Michael did, give music and love to the world all across all boundaries and across all nationalities. Oh, wow. And he wanted to send that signal, as he did today coming out looking at some of the gifts here at the house. People around the world are planning celebrations. Tomorrow, the Apollo Theater all day, and they will pose at the moment of Michael's death in a silent moment. People are planning museums in Gary. There's all kinds of things the family is going to carefully consider.
The Reverend Al Sharpton speaking there. Ken Baker is also out there in Encino at the family compound with even more breaking news for us. Ken, what's the latest, man?
Well, actually, Jason, right before we came on the air, Jermaine Jackson, one of Michael's older brothers, just drove by here in his Rolls Royce. He was followed by an SUV. The windows were tinted. We're not sure who's inside. But we just found out, right around the time of the press conference, a source told me that the 3 Jackson children have been staying actually with Jermaine. Now, Jermaine doesn't live here at the Encino compound. This is the home of Cashin and Joe Jackson, Michael Jackson's parents. Jermaine lives about 15-20 miles north near Calabasas. Just go right up the 101 here. But there's been a lot of activity this morning. But let me be clear. The kids were assumed to be staying here with the grandparents, but we're told for safety, for privacy, they've been staying in a gated community about 15-20 miles north of here. Now, if we could just pan back here, this is where all the events of this morning took place. Right there, you can see there's a cluster of folks there. That's the end of the driveway. I counted myself about 200 members of the media were here this morning. We had people here from Great Britain, Japan, Germany. It was just pretty much a mob scene. And ever since then, there's been a constant stream of looky-loos and fans coming and going, and also we've seen a lot of activity coming in and out of the compound. Now, Al Sharpton was here. Al Sharpton says that he's been a friend of the family for many years. In fact, he said 35 years, and he said that Joe Jackson actually called him to come here to Encino to be with the family, and he came in yesterday. He's going to leave tonight. He mentioned in the press conference he's going to be going back to New York tonight, and he's going to be doing an appearance at the Apollo Theater, where they're going to be doing some sort of memorial concert for Michael there, but he said he's going to come right back out because he's helping the family plan their funeral. Now, as far as the funeral goes, the question did come up in the press conference, when is this funeral going to be? Joe Jackson deflected any comments about that. He said that, first of all, he is concerned about the results of the private autopsy. Now, Friday, the coroner concluded, at least preliminarily, an autopsy on Michael's body, and the body was released to the family. The family promptly had their own private autopsy done on Saturday, and Joe said he wants the results of that autopsy done. He wants to make sure everything is completed before they move and make funeral plans public. Now, something else we also learned was that on Saturday, that was the day that the family did receive Michael's body, or at least went and took it to a mortuary for the private autopsy to be done, we found out that Jermaine, Tito, and some other members of the Jackson family drove from Los Angeles up to Neverland. That's about a 2-hour drive north of here, and we're told that they were scouting it out to look at the feasibility of holding a memorial service or some sort of celebration at Neverland. Now, this subject came up in the press conference. Someone in the media asked Joe Jackson whether or not they were considering a burial place for Michael to be Neverland. He said no. He said that for the burial place. But I am told that as of the weekend, at least, the family was looking at Neverland to see if it was feasible that they could have some sort of celebration or memorial there. So we'll get more on that information, and as we get that, I'll pass it on to you.
Good stuff there, Ken. For people watching right now, maybe they're big fans and they want to come over to the Encino compound. Are police still allowing people to come by and do so?
Yeah, they are. Well, actually, we're being looked at by several police right now behind our camera. I counted about 20 squad cars that were here doing crowd control. They actually made sure that the press conference was staged properly. There was distance between Joe and the media. But yeah, anyone who would want to come here can. There's a shrine set up. People keep dropping flowers, posters, just fans who want to come and just pay tribute. Now, Michael did spend some of his youth here. This has been the family compound for over 30, almost 40 years. They've spent a lot of time here, and the family has been here together, friends gathering, and I think it's just going to be even more of a hub of activity as the week wears on, as we get closer to a funeral, which of course we're expecting soon, but Joe so far hasn't announced that.